welcome back to my channel. I am going to be talking about Halsey's new song, Nightmare, today. I have watched a lot of reaction videos to this song, and I feel like certain people are kind of missing the point behind it and really the depth of it. And so this really made me want to do my own video on it, kind of share my take on it, and what she was really meaning. Because if you know Halsey and you know her background and just who she is as a person, it's probably a lot easier to pinpoint the deeper meaning behind things. Or in this particular song, if you are a woman, it is a lot easier for you to relate than our male listeners would be. So with that being said, I'm just gonna dive in and kind of dissect the song. If you haven't seen the video, go watch it. It's amazing. It kind of throws some people off, but we're gonna get into all of that. So it opens with the chorus, and then it goes into the first verse. And I do have all of these certain parts written down because I don't have the song all the way memorized yet. So the first verse says, "I've trusted lies and trusted men, broke down and put myself back together again." So that already kind of gives you an idea. This is about men, relationships she's gone through. She's been open about her relationship with G-Eazy, and that relationship was very toxic and abusive. So this kind of is, to me, in direction of that. And then it goes on to say, "I've pinched my skin in between my two fingers and wished I could cut some parts off with some scissors." And this has to do with body image, especially for women. We see in magazines and on TV and all these celebrities have perfect bodies, and you grow up as a young woman wanting to be perfect and wanting to feel validated that you are beautiful and that your body's beautiful. And we are shown fake people, essentially, people who have gone and had work done, or pictures and videos that are retouched, so you're not even seeing the raw beauty of what these celebrities' bodies actually look like. So it really gives the wrong idea for young girls on what it means to be beautiful and what it takes to be beautiful. And it's really unfortunate that women all around the world feel the need to change something about their body to be more accepted and to be viewed as beautiful by men and loved. And I mean, I've been on both sides of it. I weigh about 130 pounds right now. I'm around my high school weight, but not too long ago, I weighed almost 200 pounds. And the way I was treated when I was bigger by guys is 110% different than the way I'm treated now that I'm smaller. And that really wears on women's psyches, and you don't see body positivity promoted enough. It is very important to be healthy and to love the skin you're in. And if there's something you want to make a change about yourself, then start going to the gym, learn how to eat healthy, what you need to do to just overall feel better. But don't make a number on a scale so important that it takes away your self-worth. And that's what I feel like that has to do with. So then we go into the pre-chorus, and this is the line that really hit me the hardest. And again, if you are a guy, you probably wouldn't even notice. But the pre-chorus says, "Come on, little lady, give us a smile." And if you are a girl, there's not a single girl I know out there that has not experienced some weird, creepy guy kind of almost harassing them to smile. Come on, give us a smile. you have such a pretty face. When you smile, I bet you're beautiful. And just, we don't owe you a goddamn thing. And that's what she ends with in that pre-chorus. Because, and I've experienced this a lot from working at a bar, there are a lot of men, and before I get into all this, I do not believe that every man is like this. But unfortunately, I am a woman. I've been a woman my entire life. And so I've dealt with this since a very young age, actually, because I matured pretty quickly. So every woman out there has experienced this, where men almost just feel entitled to your body and to your beauty, I guess. And for guys, it might sound stupid. Why is it a big deal if they're telling you to smile? But it's just the principle of men feeling that they are entitled to get something out of us, essentially. When I'm working my bar shifts, I can't tell you how many times I've been groped or grabbed, and I go to turn around to catch the guy and they've disappeared. I can't do anything about it. And the fact that men think it is okay to touch a woman inappropriately without any consent is beyond me. I obviously, like we've talked about, I go to a lot of music festivals, and most of the time I feel very safe there. But there are a lot of times I've had very weird and not okay encounters with guys grabbing on me and trying to do something to me. It's very apparent when a guy is being aggressive in that way, and I see it way more than it should be allowed. And that's kind of what this symbolizes, is men's entitlement to women. So then the second verse, I've been polite, but I won't be caught dead, letting a man tell me what I should do in my bed. And the timing of this couldn't be any better, because as a lot of you know, Alabama just passed a law that abortions are now illegal no matter what. Whether you are a rape case or medically the mother has a chance of passing away, they're illegal now. So Halsey has been a big advocate for pro-choice, and I myself am also a advocate for pro-choice. I believe that each individual woman should have the right to decide that on her own. And I feel, these are my opinions, so I feel that a lot of people look at me when I say that I'm pro-choice like I'm okay with late-term abortions and that I'm just okay with killing babies. That's not the case, and I don't feel like I should have to restate every time that just because I'm pro-choice doesn't mean I'm okay with late-term abortions. I do think there needs to be regulation on that. I do think there needs to be a decent cutoff date before those clump of cells start turning into a baby. That is my belief. And for me, there are too many situations to speak for them all. If you sat down and talked to even just 10 women that have gone and gotten abortions, I bet their story is also different. But I guarantee one of the common denominators is that they already feel bad enough about the fact that they went through with this. But it was probably what was best for them and that future child. That is my belief. And I'm going to get into more of why I feel so strongly about this after we kind of get done with this song. So that line is essentially meaning it's not okay for men to have a say in what goes on with our bodies, because I believe that men probably feel the same way. I don't think they would like us dictating what they do with their bodies. So I'll leave that at that. And then the chorus. I've got to recognize the weapon in my mind, which is essentially meaning knowledge is power. Just because we are women and we are beautiful and we can be sensual and intimate doesn't mean that we are not strong and smart and powerful. So the more you educate yourself, the stronger you will be, essentially. And I've watched a few interviews from Halsey on this topic, and even she just says, just care about something. Be passionate about something and educate yourself on something. Know what you stand for. Don't just let things continue to be the way they've always been, essentially. And then the bridge of the song. Someone like me can be a real nightmare, completely aware, but I'd rather be a real nightmare than die unaware. And this, to me, also is meaning, because the way she explained it in her videos, when you encounter this guy that says, come on, little lady, give us a smile. You're so much prettier when you smile. And she says, because I don't want to. I don't owe you a smile. I'm not smiling because I don't feel like it. Just let me do me. And a lot of men look at women that are opinionated like this, that are strong like this, that don't deal with shit, as nightmares. I've experienced this firsthand pretty much my entire life. Because I have an opinion on something, I'm a bitch. And because I don't take shit from people and I won't let anybody treat me any kind of way outside of basic human decency, I'm a bitch. I'm a nightmare. So she's essentially saying she would rather be a nightmare than be unaware of the issue that is going on and with how women are treated every single day by men. So with that being said, I think I've covered pretty much all the important parts of the song that I wanted to get into. More about abortion that I didn't cover when I touched on that part of the song. For me, do I want people to just keep having babies and keep getting abortions because it's available? No, absolutely not. But there is a reason why abortions are available. There's a reason why when they were illegal before, they became legalized, because thousands upon thousands of women were dying trying to do abortions on their own because they weren't in a place to bring another human life into this world. And I understand adoption is an option. However, there are still thousands of kids in foster care waiting to be adopted, but nobody wants to bring home a child that has been neglected or had to live their life in a foster care system. People want bright, shiny, and new. They want their genetics, because babies are more so a token of two people's love. That is how babies are viewed, and I also feel like that is wrong to an extent. I am glad that babies are a form of love between two people, and I think that is beautiful. But I think too often it's used as an excuse to bring another human life into this world without really being thought through. There are so many people in this world that were born into unfortunate situations that turn crazy. They turn into serial killers. Not all of them. I'm not generalizing, but I'm talking worst case scenario, and even not worst case scenario. I don't feel like it's fair to bring a child into this world if they are not going to be taken care of the correct way. I listen to too many true crime podcasts about children being killed by their parents or family members, and it just blows my mind. Abortions are necessary to an extent, and I think if the public education system was a little bit better with the way we talk about sex education, and if parents were more open with their teenagers about this topic, and it wasn't so taboo out here to talk about, we wouldn't have such a problem with teen pregnancies and everything else. Because we all know as teenagers, when your parents tell you, no, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, no, 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 what do you want to do? You want to go do the thing that they're telling you not to do. And sex is one of those things. So instead of telling your children, no, 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 that's bad, that's wrong, it's not okay, talk to them about how it's natural, but how to be safe about it. And that girls need to be on birth control if their bodies can handle it, or always use a contraceptive of some sort so that they're being safe. But the problem is, there are women out there who can get pregnant even on birth control and using condoms. I know plenty of girls who have gotten pregnant using both birth control and a condom. And I was one of those people. I got pregnant the summer after I graduated. I did not know that I was pregnant. I was on the NuvaRing, and on that particular birth control, you can skip your periods. And so that's what I was doing. And one day I miscarried, and I didn't know at first that that's what was happening. But we went to the doctor's office, and everything said and done, I miscarried at about 11 to 12 weeks. And the person I was with at this time, the father, was very abusive. Not physically, but very abusive mentally and emotionally. And I went through this completely by myself. And I had to beg him to even come talk to me when I got home from the hospital. And when he finally came and talked to me, what he had to say was, even if you hadn't lost the baby and you had stayed pregnant, I would have left. I would have went out and cheated on you and partied, but I would have come back eventually. And I dealt with that completely on my own. He was no help. The medical bill for that, because I wasn't married, was about $900. And he broke up with me right after. And he told me he would help with the medical bills. And he wasn't going to, but I needed help. I wasn't in a financial state to deal with a $900 medical bill. And I was angry. I had just found out that he had been cheating on me for about 6 months, and there was just a lot going on. I was mad, and I was hurt, and so I told him, if you don't help me pay half like you said you were going to, then I will just talk to your mom and dad and see if they would be willing to help me out with this. Because I knew that that would get him to help me, because God forbid his parents find out I got pregnant even though there was no longer a baby involved. So with a little bit of background on that and the kind of person I was with, had I not miscarried and stayed pregnant, I probably would have gotten an abortion. Because me personally, I know that I could not go through carrying a child and giving birth and then giving it away to someone else. And maybe I'm weak for that, because it takes a strong person to be able to do that. And I am not strong enough for that. And I know that. So for me, abortion would have been the best option, because I was going to have no help from the father. he would have made it a living hell, and I would have had to deal with him for the rest of my life. And maybe that sounds selfish, but he is a monster in my eyes, and I wouldn't have wanted to raise a child with this person. And I was barely 18 years old. I had no idea what I was doing with my life. I wasn't ready emotionally, mentally. I just wasn't. And I feel like that's okay. I always ask people, do you think that every man is meant to be a dad? And most of the time the answer I get is no, definitely not. Okay, so then why should every woman have to be a mom? Why does that have to be the outcome for someone who isn't ready, for someone who couldn't give that child what it deserved? And I just feel that there's too many situations, like I've said, and scenarios to speak for them all. What about the 12-year-old that got raped when she was walking home from school? What about the 55-year-old woman who hasn't hit menopause yet but is in no way able to take care of another child at such a late age? What about the mother who will die if she carries through with having this baby? What about the 18-year-old girl in an abusive relationship who's homeless and can't even afford to take care of herself? On top of this, there's so many people on this world already. Too many, almost. It is okay for a woman not to want to have a child. And maybe we wouldn't have to have so many abortions if women who know that they don't want to be mothers were able to go in and get their uterus removed. But you know what you have to do in order to do that? You need to make sure your husband agrees to it, and you have to be a certain age. I think it was like 27 before you can decide to do that. But if a man wants to go in and get a vasectomy, no questions asked, he can get it done. But a woman has to check with a man or be married before she can make that decision for herself. And I personally know, I'm friends with quite a few girls who don't want kids. They like kids, but they just don't want to be a mother. They know that they are too selfish to give a child the love and attention and the nurturing that they really need to become whole, healthy adults. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If you don't agree with abortions, don't get one. But don't deny that right to so many other women that have a story like mine. It boggles my mind. And that is pretty much where I leave you guys. I do plan on doing a separate video about my relationship that I was in. And I think it's important for people who are in abusive relationships to speak their truth about it and to know that you are not a victim and that that doesn't have to define the rest of your life. So, with that being said, I hope this gave a little more perspective on this song.